The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres says he's gravely concerned about the unfolding situation in and around Zaporizhzhia Nuclear Power Plant in southern Ukraine ahead of a Security Council meeting later. Both Ukraine and Russia have traded blame for the shelling at the nuclear complex, Europe's largest nuclear power plant, with the UN chief appealing to all concerned to exercise common sense and reason and not to undertake any actions that might endanger the physical integrity, safety or security of the plant. Guterres has also called on the military forces of both Russia and Ukraine to immediately cease all military activities in the immediate vicinity of the plant.
Any attack to a nuclear plant is a suicidal thing, and I hope that those attacks will end. And at the same time, I hope that the IAEA will be able to have access to the plant and to exercise its mandate competencies.
All right, for more on this developing story, we speak to our US correspondent, Sherwin Bryce-Pease, and of course he's at the UN. Clearly, military activity around this nuclear facility, Sherwin, will have devastating consequences. The two sides pointing fingers at each other for the recent shelling. What can we expect from the Security Council meeting on this situation?
Yeah, the blame game, Francis, in the fog of war, right? We're talking here about a nuclear power plant facility essentially in the middle of a battlefield, a war zone. Russia and Ukraine, of course, accusing each other of being responsible for attacks and shelling on this nuclear plant. Ukraine blames Russia for attacks on the plant and for moving military equipment into this facility, which they believe is a violation of nuclear safety protocols. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky accusing Russia of waging nuclear terror. Moscow, on the other hand, says it is Ukraine that is shelling this plant, having taken over the facility, has had Russian troops, some 500 Russian troops were told, in March of this year. So amid the fog of war, Francis, it's always difficult to verify who is right and who is wrong, who is selling us propaganda and who is telling us the truth. So what this Security Council meeting will do, it'll hear from Rafael Mariano Grossi. He is the Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency. The IAEA has essentially now for weeks been asking both sides to guarantee the safety of an expert team that they wish to send in here. So I'll tell you what the IAEA is saying ahead of this meeting. They welcome the opportunity to inform the Security Council of developments on the ground at one of the world's biggest nuclear power plants located in the middle of an active war zone. An accident, they say, at this plant could threaten public health and the environment both in Ukraine and neighboring countries as well as further away. So clearly the cost, the potential cost here to human lives is very, very severe given the materials we're talking about here. And so hopefully some clarity can emerge from this council meeting now just hours away.
Indeed. In the meantime, Sherwin, the Secretary General not mincing his words about the seriousness of this. What more did he say ahead of the meeting?
Well, the UN would essentially want this to be a nuclear, a military-free zone around this Zaporizhzhia plant, essentially the largest nuclear facility, nuclear power plant in Europe. He's calling on the military forces of Russia and Ukraine to immediately cease all military activities in the immediate vicinity of the plant and not to target the facilities or surroundings. He further urges the party to withdraw any military personnel and equipment from the plant and refrain from any future deployment of forces or equipment. The United Nations is also fully in support of the IAEA's efforts to get that team in. We heard from the Secretary General's spokesperson a short time ago, questions posed to him about why it's taking so long for the IAEA to be able to get in there. And he talks about the fact that this is an active war zone, so they need assurances from both parties. There are logistical considerations that need to be accounted for when you send a team like this into an active war zone, and those have not been received yet. So, you know, a lot of diplomatic effort underway here, Francis, behind the scenes, certainly.
So the Secretary General finally, Sherwin, can urge and call on the parties to do things, but it's the Security Council with the power here to demand or instruct. Are we expecting anything like that to emerge from the Council? All right, Sherwin, can you hear me? All right, we've lost that link to Sherwin Bryce-Pease, unfortunately, but he will be following the situation, the Security Council to meet. And like I was saying, then it does have the power to demand action from one or both parties in this instance. But a lot of concern, a lot of alarm about what's going on, the activity, the military activity around a nuclear facility there. Thank you very much to Sherwin.